Do you worry about this? I mean, everybody else outside the building is terrified that this technology will be used as a means of totalitarian control. It seems obvious that it will.
It will.
Maybe you disagree.
If I could get one piece of policy passed right now, relative to AI, the thing I would most like, and this is intentional with some of the other things that we talked about, is I'd like there to be a concept of AI privilege. When you talk to a doctor about your health or a lawyer about your legal problems, the government cannot get that information.
Right.
We have decided that society has an interest in that being privileged, and that we don't, and that, a subpoena can't get that, the government can't come asking your doctor for it, whatever. I think we should have the same concept for AI. I think when you talk to an AI about your medical history or your legal problems or asking for legal advice or any of these other things, I think the government owes a level of protection to its citizens there that is the same as you get if you're talking to the human version of this. And right now we don't have that. And I think it would be a great, great policy to adopt.
So the feds or the states or someone in authority can come to you and say, I want to know what so-and-so was typing into the...
Right now they could, yeah.
And what is your obligation to keep the information that you receive from users and others private?
Well, we have an obligation except when the government comes calling, which is why we're pushing for this. And I was actually just in DC advocating for this. I feel optimistic that we can get the government to understand the importance of this and do it.
But could you ever sell that information to anyone?
No, we have a privacy policy in place where we can't do that.
But would it be legal to do it?
I don't even think it's legal.
You don't think, or you know?
I'm sure there's some edge case where some information you're allowed to, but on the whole, I think we have there are laws about that are good.
So all the information you receive remains with you always. It's never given to anybody else for any other reason except under subpoena.
I will double check and follow up with you after to make sure there's no other reason, but that is my understanding.
Okay. That's a core question.
Yeah.
And what about copyright?
Our stance there is that fair use is actually a good law for this. The models should not be plagiarizing. The model should not be, if you write something, the model should not get to replicate that, but the model should be able to learn from and not plagiarize in the same way that people can.
Have you guys ever taken copyrighted material and not paid the person who holds the copyright?
We train on publicly available information, but we don't, people are annoyed with us all the time because we have a very conservative stance on what ChatGPT will say in an answer.
Right.
And so if something is even close, they're hey, this song can't still be in copyright, you got to show it. And we kind of famously are quite restrictive on that.
Yeah, on songs they are.
You had complaints from one programmer who said you guys were basically stealing people's stuff and not paying them, and then he wound up murdered. What was that?
Also a great tragedy. He committed suicide.
Do you think he committed suicide?
I really do.
Have you looked?
This was a friend of mine. This is a guy that, not a close friend, but this is someone that worked at OpenAI for a very long time. I was really shaken by this tragedy. I spent a lot of time trying to, read everything I could, as I'm sure you and others did too, about what happened. It looks like a suicide to me.
Why does it look like a suicide?
It was a gun he had purchased. It was this is gruesome to talk about, but I read the whole medical record. Does it not look like one to you?
No, he was definitely murdered, I think. There were signs of a struggle, of course. The surveillance camera, the wires had been cut. He had just ordered takeout food, come back from a vacation with his friends on Catalina Island. No indication at all that he was suicidal. No note and no behavior. He had just spoken to a family member on the phone. And then he's found dead with blood in multiple rooms. So that's impossible. Seems really obvious he was murdered. Have you talked to the authorities about it?
I have not talked to the authorities about it.
And his mother claims he was murdered on your orders.
Do you believe that?
I'm asking.
You just said it, so do you believe that?
I think that it is worth looking into. And if a guy comes out and accuses your company of committing crimes, I have no idea if that's true or not, of course, and then is found killed and there are signs of a struggle, I don't think it's worth dismissing it. I don't think we should say, well, he killed himself when there's no evidence that the guy was depressed at all. Yeah. I think, and if he was your friend, I would think you would want to.
It's quite clear.
I did offer. She didn't want to.
So.
It's quite clear he was killed.
Do you feel that, when people look at that and they're like, it's possible that happened. Do you feel that reflects the worries they have about what's happening here? Like, people are afraid that this is like...
I've done too many interviews where I've been accused of like...
Oh, I'm not accusing you at all. I'm just saying his mother says that. I don't think a fair read of the evidence.
I have not done many interviews where they accuse me of murder that I committed.
I don't understand why the authorities, when there's signs of a struggle and blood in 2 rooms on a suicide, like, how does that actually happen? I don't understand how the authorities could just kind of dismiss that as a suicide. I think it's weird.
Can we talk about something
You
else?
understand how this sounds like an accusation?
This sounds so bad.
Of course. And I certainly...
Are you accusing me of...
Once again, not accusing you of any wrongdoing, but I think it's worth finding out what happened. And I don't understand why the city of San Francisco has refused to investigate it beyond just calling it a suicide.
I mean, I think they looked into it a couple of times, more than once, as I understand it. I saw that, and I will totally say, when I first heard about this, it sounded very suspicious to me.
Yes.
And I know you had been involved in...
Was mother
You were
reached
asked
out
to the case.
And I don't know anything about it. It's not my world.
She just reached out cold?
She reached out cold.
Wow.
And I spoke to her at great length, and
It's gonna send someone to kill the mother also.
The kid was clearly killed by somebody. That was my conclusion, objectively, with no skin in the game.
And you, after reading the latest report...
Yes.
Like, look...
And I immediately called a member of Congress from California, Ro Khanna, and said, this is crazy, you've got to look into this. And nothing ever happened. And I'm like, what is that?
Again, I think this is... I feel strange and sad debating this and having to...
I'm not
myself seem
debating
totally
it.
crazy. And you are a little bit accusing me, but this was like a wonderful person and a family that is clearly struggling.
Yes.
And I think you can totally take the point that you're just trying to get to the truth of what happened, and I respect that. But I think his memory and his family deserve to be treated with a level of respect and grief that I don't quite feel here.
I'm asking at the behest of his family. So I'm definitely showing them respect. And I'm not accusing you of any involvement in this at all. What I am saying is that the evidence does not suggest suicide, and for the authorities in your city to elide past that and ignore the evidence that any reasonable person would say adds up to a murder, I think is very weird, and it shakes the faith that one has in our system's ability to respond to the facts.
So what I was going to say is, after the first set of information that came out, I was really like, man, this doesn't look like a suicide. I'm confused. This looks like...
Okay, so I'm not being crazy here.
Well, but then after the second thing came out and the more detail, I was like, oh, okay.
What changed your mind?
The second report on the way the bullet entered him and the sort of person who had like followed the sort of likely path of things through the room. I assume you looked at this too.
Yes, I did.
And what about that didn't change your mind?
It just didn't make any sense to me. Why would the security camera wires be cut? And how did he wind up bleeding in 2 rooms after shooting himself? And why was there a wig in the room that wasn't his? And has there ever been a suicide where there's no indication at all that the person was suicidal who just ordered takeout food? I mean, who orders DoorDash and then shoots himself? I mean, maybe. I've covered a lot of crimes as a police reporter. I've never heard of anything like that. So no, I was even more confused.
This is where it gets into, I think, a little bit painful, just not the level of respect I'd hope to show to someone with this kind of mental illness.
I get it. I totally get it. If
People do
his
commit suicide without notes a lot. Like, that happens.
For sure.
People definitely order food they like before they commit suicide. Like, this is an incredible tragedy, and
That's his family's view, and they think it was a murder, and that's why I'm asking the question.
if I were his family, I am sure I would want answers, and I'm sure I would not be satisfied with really any. I mean, there's nothing that would comfort me in that, you know?
Right.
Like, so I get it. I also care a lot about
I also care a
respect
lot
to him.
about respect to him. That's why I killed him. That's why I send
I have
out
to ask
somebody
your-
to kill him. Like, this is ridiculous. This is the person building AI systems that are gonna build a surveillance system that surveils and decides, your fate. It watches upon you and it judges you and it enslaves you. I feel like, if this is a clear indication of OpenAI's moral stances, of Sam Altman's moral stances, of how trustworthy they can be. And I feel like, the answers that he gave are absolutely weak. His voice crumbles and cracks. He starts speaking like a little girl who's just been, cheated on by his boyfriend. It's just incredible how he fails to take any accountability. It really feels wrong. And it just, the defense that Sam Altman provides is so weak. His voice starts cracking. He's on the verge of tears. He's gay. He starts behaving like a gay guy. He starts saying stuff like, let's not talk about that out of respect. Out of respect. Let's not talk about that person I killed out of respect for his memory and his family. Let's not touch that subject, please. That is absolutely ridiculous. It's a shame that OpenAI's GPT is so good, because this is the moral integrity of the people running it. And I feel like maybe, just maybe, I hope that somehow, someday, there can be a revolution when it comes to open source, when it comes to open models, when it comes to eradicating this absolutely ruthlessly powerful company and its operations. Because OpenAI is not the AI that I want to be in charge of the world. OpenAI is the last AI that I want running the surveillance system.